All right, welcome back to Margaritas in Paradise. Today we have a special guest here on Everybody Has a Story. He's a friend of mine, Jay. I met him as a YouTube subscriber, and anyway, he's down from Chiang Mai. Jay, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start out with you telling us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up here in Thailand?
Okay, sure. Well, my name's Jay. I'm from the United States. I grew up in New England, the United States. I enlisted in the military at a young age and loved travel and was able to come here to Thailand and fell in love with it. And now I've been here a long time.
Yeah, fantastic. So what were you doing prior to coming to Thailand?
Prior to living here full time, I was already married to a Thai woman in the United States, and I lived in Seattle, Washington, and I worked for the state of Washington and the city of Seattle in the criminal justice system.
All right, yeah, fantastic. And so how long have you lived here now?
I've lived in Thailand for 14 years, my first 2 years in Bangkok, and the past 12 years in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, fantastic. What took you to Chiang Mai?
Well, I'm divorced now. My ex-wife was from Bangkok, and that's where we ended up living. If your Thai wife is from a specific area, that's probably where you're going to end up. So we lived in Bangkok. When we broke up, I had been living here 2 years. I wasn't super familiar with Thailand. I decided to just go to Chiang Mai, which I had been to before, and catch my breath, but I've been there ever since. Been there for 12 years.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you travel around Thailand quite a bit, right?
Yes.
So a place like Pattaya, for instance, where we're at right now, does that draw you from Chiang Mai, or does the love of Chiang Mai just want to keep you there?
I do enjoy Pattaya, and I come down here a couple times a year, but Thailand seems different in the north of Thailand as opposed to the south. The people, the climate for one, the expat community, and Pattaya has always been is a great place to visit, but a little too much going on for me to live here full time.
Right. A little bit too big.
Little too big. Also, I do love riding motorbikes, small motorcycles, and the highway system, say from Bangkok on south, is a lot less fun to ride on. The roads are very big, and some of them aren't in great shape. So.
Right. Do you miss the United States?
It's not like I'm a America hater or anything at all, but in 14 years, I have not missed living in the United States.
Really?
No, I've only been back 2 times. Both times involved the health of family members, and that's it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, very good. Do you, so you have family in the United States right now?
I don't have any family anywhere. My mother and father were my last family members. I went back to see my father before he passed away. And my mother lived here with me in Chiang Mai, but she was diagnosed with cancer and passed away shortly before the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is there a large expat community in Chiang Mai?
Yes, I would say Chiang Mai has one of the big expat communities within Thailand.
Right.
Not as big as Pattaya or Bangkok, but quite large.
Okay. And do you find it easy to find things to do in Chiang Mai?
I do, but I'm easily entertained. Chiang Mai has, as I said, quite a bit large expat community. So the things that expats might want in terms of food or accommodation is there. It's also the third biggest city in Thailand, close to second with Korat. So there's a lot of infrastructure there.
Yeah, fantastic. And how's the healthcare there?
The healthcare there and in Thailand, in my opinion, is quite good. I mentioned earlier that my mother lived here and she had cancer, and we chose to be treated here rather than the United States. One, because the cost was much lower and the care was much better. The same chemotherapy drugs, the same procedures, the same machines, but at a higher quality of care and a much lower price.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, I get asked about this all the time. You know, the medical question, medical care, whether you recommend it or not. But how about insurance? Do you think somebody living here needs to have medical insurance?
Well, that's a good question. I choose to self-insure.
Okay.
I put 5,000 baht a month, excuse me, in a separate account, and I've done so for a number of years, and I don't touch it. It's my emergency fund. Insurance is something that I'm a little skeptical about, and it has nothing to do with Thailand.
Right.
Sometimes when you need it, it's not there, or they threaten to discontinue your coverage if you make a claim, all of that. And in Thailand, as you know, if you do have a policy, be careful if there's an age limit where the insurance just cuts off, or look at what you will be paying once you reach a certain age, because it can be quite a high price.
Right, right. Actually, keeping a savings.
Yeah.
I always talk about you need to have an emergency fund while you're living here because things come up. And that definitely falls into the emergency fund, I would
Sure.
think.
Well, yes. And this fund is specifically for medical. You have to have the discipline to not touch it because it starts to become a sizable amount of money. But I've noticed with insurance, like the health insurance premium for me at 53 is quite reasonable, but I don't use it.
Sure.
So that money's gone every year. But instead, I put it into a special fund for me. And so it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and hopefully be quite large at an age when I might need it.
Sure. Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Dog or cat?
I have 2 dogs. I don't have a cat, but I love animals, so both would be fine with me.
Right, right. You have 2 dogs now?
I have 2 dogs now. They stay with my girlfriend. One is a Thai mix, and one is a Welsh Corgi that my mother bought in Ireland and brought here to Thailand, and I inherited. His name's Rowan. I've had him ever since.
Yeah, very good. So you have a girlfriend. She stays with you in Chiang Mai, or?
No, well, we don't live together because I'm not keen on really living with anyone. But I take care of her financially, and I set her up with her own place. She's a hill tribe girl. Northern Thailand have a lot of people who are ethnically not Thai, but they live in Thailand and have for generations. So she's her tribe is called Karen. They call themselves Korean. There are many tribes in the north. I got her own house up there, which is in the rural areas quite reasonable. And we visit each other a few weeks a month, but we live separate. And she's got my dogs at her house.
You know, you're such a unique situation from everybody else that I've interviewed. Okay. How about owning a car or a motorbike? Do you think that's something that's necessary, especially for you?
For me, absolutely, because I enjoy my independence. And I don't think I could live here and not drive. My first 3 years here, both years in Bangkok and maybe my first year in Chiang Mai, I didn't drive anything. And when I moved here, I swore I wouldn't because it seemed very dangerous.
Right.
But over time, you start to miss being able to just take yourself around.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I think a lot of expats reach that point. Even if they say they will never drive here, they eventually do.
Yeah, right. So do you drive a car or motorbike, what?
I do have a truck. I have a Suzuki Carry. It's like a utility vehicle, very, very inexpensive, but it's a full-size half-ton pickup truck. Not the prettiest truck on the road, but it's a good truck. I have several smaller scooters for just scooting around the city. I have a Honda ADV 160, which is a mid-size scooter, which I make long-distance trips on. Some people would argue too small for that, but it works perfect for me.
Right. And that's what Jay traveled from Chiang Mai on this bike, right?
Yep, the Honda ADV 160 is the first long-distance trip I've done on this bike, and I've been very happy with it. It's a good little bike.
How many kilometers are you going to put on this trip?
I think because it's not direct, I'm taking about 3 weeks, maybe more. Every year I like to take 3 weeks or a month and just disappear on a bike somewhere.
Right.
Just alone, so I don't have to argue with anyone else about where I'm going or what I'm doing. I think I'm at about 1,000 kilometers right now.
Right.
And if I'd gone direct, it would have been far less than that. So it'll probably be 2,000 maybe once I start weaving my way back to Chiang Mai.
Right. Okay. What do you do about the rain and that? Have you ran into that or?
Well, I do have rain gear, which is a good idea this time of year. Normally I just stop if it starts coming in down. And here in Thailand, when it starts raining, often it's going to bucket down, and it's really not even safe to continue.
Right.
And I have nowhere to be and a long time to get there, so I will just stop and wait.
Okay. And right now, just the start of monsoon season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to be prepared.
Right.
So you have I haven't seen your bike yet, but you have like saddlebags on it or
Yep.
that type of stuff, or
Yeah, I have once I bought it, other gear so I can have proper side boxes. The mounts are there permanently, and the side boxes, panniers,
Right.
saddlebags, whatever you want to call them, just attach. And a soft box, back box. You'll see the hard boxes on the back. I prefer a soft one because once you detach it, it just becomes like a carry-on bag, and I can carry it into the hotel.
Yeah, very good.
And they come with a rain bag that would go over it, I'd say, and that always has kept the rain out. So that's what I prefer.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah. People ask me all the time about bringing money from the U.S. or whatever country they're from to Thailand, and whether it's Social Security or a pension or whatever. And do you have any recommendations on how you manage your money or bring it over?
Well, it's going to probably be different depending on what country you're from.
Right.
We're from the United States, so with government pensions such as the VA or Social Security, you can have that money sent direct to your account here in Thailand. My money, I get some money through the VA. And I get quite a good exchange rate. They transfer it to Bangkok Bank, and I'm happy with that. But that's a unique situation to me. A lot of people use Wise, as you know,
Right.
which is a private company that will get money from point A to point B, which seems to be a pretty good deal right now. Right. I guess if I could say one thing, the overarching idea is, however you get money here, have a plan B. Because in my 14 years of being here, I would transfer money one way every month without fail, and it would be the only method I'd have, just to learn that one day the banking laws in the United States had changed, or the banking laws here had changed, and I couldn't transfer money. And if I didn't have a backup plan, I wouldn't have any money. And it was just because of the one time it happened to me was some application of the Patriot Act involving the transferring of money international. This was, I don't know, 2013, 2014, I don't know, just some silly new rule, and suddenly I was expecting to transfer a few thousand US dollars,
Right.
and I couldn't transfer any.
Wow.
So have a plan B.
Keep a credit card.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people do. Plan B is a credit card.
Yeah, that
You have a
would work.
PIN number
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't recommend people using credit cards either in Thailand. So
That's not that. No, it's that would be an emergency thing. You're going to get not a very good exchange rate
Right.
with a credit card.
Exactly. And if you do use one, make sure you're using one that doesn't have a foreign transaction fee and there's
Yeah,
all that.
yeah, and
you're going to research that before you start going that
Yeah,
route.
there's a lot to look. To also look at not just look at the exchange rate you're getting, but also the fees, because they want to get a slice of your money. So they're going to try to hide exactly the cut that they take. Make sure your home bank is taking a little, maybe the bank here is taking a little.
Right.
So your exchange rate not so great.
So living here in Thailand, this area, we've talked about budgets in the past, okay? And I have lots of friends that live here on $1,000 a month budget, approximately, let's say, 35,000 baht a month here, okay, or 1,000 US dollars. In Chiang Mai, is that doable?
Yeah, for sure. As you probably know, that's people do live on $1,000 US dollars a month here in Thailand, and in Chiang Mai, that's getting toward the low end of a comfort zone. But you can do it. You can do it comfortably, and that $1,000 will go a lot further here in Thailand and Chiang Mai than it would back in the States. But more would be preferable, of course.
Going to the other end of the spectrum, okay, is there a certain amount that if you had to recommend to somebody, what would be the minimum amount that you can comfortably live here?
Well, that's hard because everyone has a different standard of living. But I would say for regular middle-class Westerners, or specifically Americans, I would say once you get to the point where you have, say, $2,000 a month, which would be at the exchange rate now between 60 and 70,000 baht, you start to have some money to enjoy eating out at better restaurants a little more often. And anything more than that is just gravy. But it depends on your expectations in life. I was recently a soldier, still on active duty, came to Chiang Mai. He was introduced to me through the VFW. 59, about to retire.
Right.
100% disabled already and about to retire on a warrant officer pension. That's a lot of money.
Right.
And he's telling me that he wants to work as a contractor for a couple of years to make sure he has enough money to live in Chiang Mai. So I know based on what he's talking about that he's talking about a budget of at least $8,000 a month.
Right.
I had to tell him, like, if you don't think you can live in Thailand on $8,000 a month, then there's no amount of money you can live on, because I don't know how you would spend that much money a month.
Yeah, I mean, you could live probably in top level places in Bangkok, that level.
That's There comes a point where if you think, I would say, I don't know, if you're thinking bahts above $3,000, say 100,000 baht,
right.
Anything above that, if you have 100,000 baht a month to play with, you're living a good life here, and that's less than $3,000.
Right, exactly. I agree, 100%. All right. So, are you here on a retirement visa then?
I was until a few months ago, but I decided after careful consideration to purchase the 20-year elite visa.
Okay.
When the program ended, the old program. The 20-year elite visa was 1,000,000 baht for a 20-year visa, and that's it. That's all it was. But the program ended. They raised the price to 5 million baht, I've just been worried about the visa situation here for a while, and it's probably my own paranoia, so I chose to purchase a 20-year visa.
Yeah, good on you. Yeah. So do you have to check in now every 90 days? Or?
Yep, the elite visa, you still have to check in every 90 days, which is a hassle. You still have to do a TM30. Anytime I enter the country, I can come and go as I want, and every time I enter, I get a 1-year stamp. If I stay in country more than a year, I just have to go to immigration and they give me another 1-year stamp. That's just the rules.
Right. Yeah, very good. First time I ran into anybody with the elite visa. So, yeah, I wish I would have done that now.
Well, not to get your subscribers all commenting and being scared, and I'm not a visa expert, but in the 14 years that I've been here and interested in coming even before that, because my wife was Thai, and even though we live in the United States and I knew I was coming here, and I've watched the visa situation here just get more scrutiny and the bar being raised a little bit constantly since in the past 20 years. The elite visa that I bought for 20 years in 2004 or 5, 1,000,000 baht got you a visa for life.
Wow.
You would have had it, if I had bought it 20 years ago, it would have been a visa for life. But they got rid of that. They made it 20 years, and now they've raised the price 500 times.
Wow.
From 1 million to 5 million.
Okay, yeah. People come here that are getting visas now. That's not an option for them right now. Is there a 10-year elite still available?
Yes, they call it a privilege now, but there is still a 5, 10, and 20 year. I don't know if there's a 15. The 5-year visa was 500,000 baht. It went up to 600,000, and it's currently at 900,000.
Wow. Okay.
And the 10-year visa, I don't know the price.
Yeah. So now, as far as getting a visa in general, whether you're getting a retirement or work or whatever you're doing, is that something that you'd recommend doing yourself, or do you recommend using an agent? What's your recommendations for that?
Well, since I've been here, I've probably had every visa, almost every visa you can imagine. Right. You can do it yourself. There's no rule against it. I always use an agent. In Chiang Mai, my agent would charge, when I had a retirement visa, just a couple thousand baht, and it just saved the hassle. I kept 800,000 baht in the bank. It was nothing sketchy. But every year they would change some small rule. So if you went in to do the paperwork yourself, maybe there was a new form that you didn't know about from last year.
Yeah, great
They
point.
want, they want a different color ink. They want a different size photograph, and you get sent to the back of the line. My agent Amy, she would handle all that for me.
Right. I was talking to a Thai that's also a subscriber, and she told me that immigrations would prefer you use an agent because they don't want to have to redo stuff. They don't want to recheck everything, and
Yeah.
they know the agents bring in a stack of maybe 10 applicants at a time, and they're all correct.
Right.
You know, so.
Right, and also a lot of times the agent is also your translator, right? I mean, perhaps the immigration officer's English is not as good as they would wish, but the agents normally, their English is quite good, so all of the paperwork is squared away, and the immigration officers, I think, appreciate that.
Right. What do you think about somebody preparing to move to Thailand? Do you have any advice on preparations that they should be thinking about prior to coming here?
Sure. Well, it depends on what stage you are at. Are you at the stage where you know you're coming here, or is this just possibly a place you might like to retire? So you have to decide what you want to do with all of your belongings in your home country, as opposed to coming
about
here.
that
So
before.
yeah, you talked about it. So you need to be prepared to that, and be prepared that living here, as I know people have always said, living here is not the same as being here on holiday. It's going to be a different experience.
Right. Well, being here for 14 years, I normally ask people how they adjusted to the climate here. Has climate ever been an issue for you?
It probably, yeah. I mean, it was really hot. That first experience of getting off the plane in Bangkok, and the blast of heat, either that you have to go down onto the tarmac or through the catwalk. That blast of heat was something. But in the 14 years that I've lived here, I've actually never had a place with air conditioning.
Really?
So I feel like I've adapted fairly well.
I'd say so. Wow. So you don't have aircon now?
No, I own a condo in Chiang Mai. It was a, let's call it a distressed unit. The aircon units didn't function, but since I don't use aircon, I haven't bothered to replace them because I'll just replace them and not use them. So I haven't.
Beer or wine?
Beer or wine? I enjoy both. The price of wine here in Thailand, as you know, there's a pretty high import tax on it. So for mediocre wine, you have to pay for it. So I really enjoy wine, but I tend to drink more beer. Not that I can't afford the wine, but I feel like they're just screwing me somehow with the high tax.
Right, get it. And that's supposed to be changing sometime soon.
They said the law changed and the prices should go down, but I have not seen the prices go down yet.
People have a lot of choices when it comes to accommodations. And I imagine Chiang Mai is the same thing. I mean,
Yes.
You have condos versus houses, apartments.
Yeah, everything.
What's the suggestions there? I mean, it's going to be a hard question to ask. You know, you come here and you have a choice between, let's say, the ocean or the beach versus living inner city.
Yep.
There, what do you have? The mountain views.
Yeah, you'd have the old city, which is about 500 or 600 years old, and there's only a few condominiums within it because there's a building restriction in place now. You have mountain views. You can live outside the city. Most of the larger modern malls are outside the old city.
Right.
So you could choose between living in a closer to the big shopping malls and newer restaurants, or the character of the old city. Those would be your choices, roughly.
Does Chiang Mai offer, I'm going to break this up, does Chiang Mai offer adequate means for meeting companionship?
Sure. Because there is a large expat community, there tend to be quite a few, well, you can meet other expats. If you're interested, if you move here as a single guy and you're interested in meeting a Thai lady, there's a lot of people that work and live in Thailand, who's in Chiang Mai, whose English is fairly okay, so that you can communicate and have a relationship.
Okay, yeah, very good. And is it easy to meet other friends in Chiang Mai?
Well, I found being an expat here, it's very easy to meet people and just have a nice chat. Just being here in Pattaya, I think every bar I go into, I sit down next to some other traveler and we have a nice conversation.
Yeah.
But being an expat, I'd say like real friends is a little more difficult in my opinion, because people come and go, and you know someone for a few years, and then for whatever reason they move to a different part of Thailand or move back to their home country. So that is an issue.
Yeah. I have this small circle of friends. I have lots of acquaintances, but
Friends is a little more
it's tough.
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being in Chiang Mai, do you find it easy to find things to do in your spare time? Keep you busy.
Chiang Mai's a good-sized town. There's shopping malls, there's movies theaters, there's restaurants. If golfing your thing, there's not as many golf courses as Pattaya, but it's my understanding there's still quite a few in Chiang Mai.
Sure.
I like riding my motorbike, and there's really good, the mountains and the roads are pretty good up there, and just fun riding, and a lot of nice towns. If you're interested in nature, there's plenty of hiking. You can do, right at the edge of Chiang Mai City, it borders a mountain called Doi Suthep. And that's actually a national park. And so right from the edge of the city, if you're over in that part of the city, you can just walk into the mountains and hike for a long ways.
Wow, yeah. I've been up there, so, yeah. And there's lots to do up there. The normal tourist attractions it's just massive amounts. I mean, like the elephant villages to the hill tribes to temples and royal property.
Yep.
Up there, it's just all kinds of things.
The tourist attractions. There'll be, if you do come to Chiang Mai as a tourist, you're just visiting. There's a number of day activities that will be offered to you, where they'll pick you up at your hotel in the morning, and you can go see tigers, you can go see the elephants, you can go see some nature settings, you could go visit some of the hill tribes, do all of that. And cooking classes, that kind of thing. And then they'll bring you back to your hotel in the evening. You can rest, shower, and then enjoy the Chiang Mai nightlife.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, do you think it's necessary? I mean, you're in Thailand for 14 years. Do you think it's necessary to know the Thai language?
Well, obviously not, because no one does. I can speak and read Thai. I've worked in Thailand before. As a volunteer and as a paid employee for a number of years. And I meet maybe 1 in 100 expats that can actually converse in Thai, and even fewer that can read Thai. So you don't need it. It will make your experience much better in Thailand if you can speak a little.
All right. Yeah. So do you recommend going after learning like common words like thank you and hello and that sort of just basic stuff?
Absolutely. Please, thank you, numbers, basic things. You could take a course, or honestly, if you're a motivated learner, everything you need would be on the internet for free. There's a Thai teacher that has made a video on YouTube for anything that you're interested in. It's just a matter of finding it on YouTube.
Right.
So it would cost you nothing. And yes, learn the basic words. Yes, no, please, thank you, right, left, up, down, things like that.
Sure. Yeah. Fantastic. And I know you're a member of the VFW.
Yes.
In Chiang Mai. And there's lots of military retirees and veterans from all over the world. So this is kind of two-part. Are there, in Chiang Mai, are there other organizations besides the VFW that look out for other countries' veterans and things like that, or?
No, and first, if they don't know, the VFW is Veterans of Foreign Wars, and it's an American organization for people who have served in the American Armed Forces. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen, because people can serve in the armed forces without being a citizen. Most of them do get citizenship. I haven't met any that haven't chosen to take American citizenship. But there was a British organization, and I can't think of the name right now, but they didn't have enough membership in Chiang Mai, and now the only post that they have, the Brits, is here in Pattaya. But no, I'm only aware of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. We have a post in Chiang Mai, post here in Pattaya, which you're a member of. Right. Bangkok, Udon Thani, Korat. Oh, and what's the city south of Pattaya? Bang Chang.
Bang
Chang, yeah.
Is Phuket?
Phuket doesn't. Actually, there was a team from District 5. We have different hierarchies. There's some people have put some feelers out about why not start a post in Phuket, but so far nothing's come of it. You'd need someone on the ground there that's really interested in starting a post, and we haven't made contact with anyone like that.
Okay, yeah. Now, make sure you're checking the description below, and I'll put a link for the VFW up in Chiang Mai as well as VFW here in Pattaya. And while I'm talking about that, make sure you're giving me a big thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. There's a little bell right next to it for notification of future videos. Listen to that bird out there. He shut up as soon as I mentioned him. Are you familiar with Vegemite?
Yeah, I've had it.
Okay, so Vegemite or jelly?
I can eat Vegemite. It's not. I don't love it. I'm not Australian,
Yeah.
So I would probably pass on it. But I can eat it.
I still haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
I have to try it sometime.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you should try it.
Do you enjoy Thai food?
Yeah, I love Thai food. I eat Thai food normally every day. Every day, at least one meal, I'll eat Thai food, and sometimes a couple meals.
Spicy?
Yeah, I like spicy food. When I was in the Army, we always had Tabasco sauce to cover the flavor of the food. Even meals ready to
the
eat
little bottles.
have the little bottles of Tabasco to mask the flavor of the food. And I developed, a strong like for spicy food, and I still love spicy food.
Yeah. How about cooking? Do you cook it?
I don't cook Thai food because Thai food is so inexpensive to buy, as you know, that you can't cook it as cheaply as you could buy a meal. It just doesn't work that way. So when I do cook, it's because I just want to enjoy cooking, and I'm making usually some kind of Western dish myself.
Is that a normal routine for you as far as cooking, or do you generally go out?
I'd say, I normally like simple breakfast in the mornings, like muesli and fruit in the morning. I try simple if I eat.
Right.
Lunch is normally Thai food, and dinner, half and half. I'll go back out for dinner, or I'll prepare something at home.
Okay. So, in Chiang Mai, do you recommend any place, like whether it's something to do or some place to go eat? Mm-hmm. Or there's places that kind of stand out in your mind. If you're in Chiang Mai, definitely go here.
Well, because it depends on what the people like.
Right.
If you're a single traveler and you're looking for some night entertainment, there's a road called Loi Kro. You can Google different versions of that and it'll come up. And that tends to be the nightlife entertainment with Western-style bars and a scene that people from Pattaya would recognize, put it that way.
Okay.
But where to stay, there's so many accommodation, and it's been so long since I've needed to stay in a hotel there that I couldn't say.
Okay.
I would say if you do go to Chiang Mai, there's a dish called khao soi. Let's call it a kind of a spicy yellow curry soup with egg noodles and normally chicken. You can find it all over Thailand, but it's a northern dish. And if you're in Chiang Mai, you have to try it somewhere. Just look for it. You got to try it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay. All right. Right. So it sounds like you're pretty busy overall. Okay. Do you have any hobbies?
I do. I think it's important to have, if you're not working, and that's something you should think about if you're going to retire, you need to keep busy. So you either have hobbies or sports activities, which I guess is a hobby, or volunteer work. So I do a lot of volunteer work and have for years. Now it's with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, helping veterans and their spouses, which is also kind of a hobby for me. It gives me something to do. But just pure hobbies, I like riding my motorbike, as we said. Polishing up my Thai language is a hobby, trying to learn new words. I'm interested in Thailand and the culture, and just so being a student of Thai language and culture is a hobby of mine. And taking care of my animals, which are at my girlfriend's, which something I didn't mention before, but my girlfriend and I breed exotic chickens. So maybe I could share a picture with you.
Yeah. That'll be great. Okay. And what's your evenings tend to be? Are you somebody that goes out every night, or
no, not really.
Or how often do you go out?
I'll go out 2 or 3 nights a week, but it's nothing crazy. If I'm staying with my girlfriend in her rural village, there's really nothing to do. I'll just enjoy the garden and watch the chickens and dogs and stuff. But if I'm in Chiang Mai, I usually go for a long walk after dinner. I try to do the 10,000 steps, and there's a couple of bars that are my neighborhood bars, and I'll pop in 2 or 3 nights a week for a couple beers. Rarely am I out past midnight. It's not really my thing. Unless it's a special occasion or friends come to town, it's not my thing.
Yeah. So, living in Thailand for 14 years, is there anything that you don't like about living in Thailand?
I really love living in Thailand. And at one point, I even assessed, like, what happens? So assume I won the lottery and had millions of dollars. I would still live here. I don't live here because I have to. I live here because I love it. But you say something I don't like, I would say just picking something, and it's not a big deal, but just the hassles with visas. You know, the 90-day reports and just little rigmarole. It's just a small thing, and reporting every 90 days doesn't sound like a big deal unless you've been doing it for 14 years, and then you get tired of it. So like, look, why can't I just tell you where I am? But that's one of those small inconveniences that you have to live with when you're an expat in Thailand and probably a lot of countries.
Sure. Okay. And if they're going on the same lines, if you had the power to change anything here in Thailand, it was within your power to change it. Would that fall in the same thing that you would change, or do you have something else?
If I had one thing I could change,
right.
Well, I wish, as you know, well, you may or may not know, in Thailand we can't own property. Foreigners can't own property.
Right.
And I totally understand it, and I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of countries should do it.
Right.
But I thought, like, if an individual was allowed to own a little bit, enough for one house, just an individual one house, it probably wouldn't really compromise the security of any nation. Half a rai would be 800 square meters, and if they would allow an individual to own just a half a rai as a foreigner and be able to put their own house on it, that would be awesome. Yeah. But we can't, and that's not going to happen. We can own our own condos, but we'll never be able to own land.
Very good. That's a good idea, though.
As you know, like in the States, they'll let one person buy 10,000 acres, and that's ridiculous. So I can understand them not letting foreigners buy it, but if each individual could own a little bit, that wouldn't.
What do you think is one of the best decisions you've ever made in your life?
I think I knew this question was coming. I think choosing to give up the rat race, retire early, and move here to Thailand. Primarily just giving up the rat race and going for a slower pace of life, but with less money. It was the best decision I've made.
Wow. Yeah, good. So how old were you when you came here?
I moved here at 40 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I figured I could do it financially. The divorce with the ex didn't help at all, but that was an adventure, and I got through it, and here I am.
Yeah. Good on you. Meat or tofu?
It would have to be meat. Yeah. I can't eat tofu. I can eat anything, but I really enjoy steak, chicken, pork. I love it all.
Yeah, me too. What other countries have you visited?
I'm not sure. In the military, I served in Europe and the Middle East. I've traveled to North America, Central America, most European countries. In the Middle East, I think I was in Iraq and Kuwait. I've traveled a lot of Southeast Asia. I wouldn't know the individual countries. Last year, I visited the Republic of Georgia and Armenia, which were both surprisingly lovely countries with great wine.
Yeah, very good. What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I'm very to have a great life, so I'm almost all content, which is already pretty good. But things I would say enjoy and make me happy at this stage in my life is, say, just being with my friends together and sharing like a good meal and having a few drinks is probably very good. Maybe as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, good. What's next in your life?
What's next in my life? Well, I just talk about this. Life is good, and there's not much in my life I really feel like I need to change or improve at this stage, which is a place to be, right?
Sure.
I want to travel more. I would like to visit a country that's new to me at least once a year. Sure. But major goals. At this point, I'm just enjoying what's coming, and I don't really have any major plans.
Make sure you give me a big thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. There's a little bell right next to it for notification of future videos. Do you have anything to add to the interview?
Anything to add to the interview? I wasn't specifically asked this, but I thought in advance. If you're thinking about moving here, don't move into anything too fast. And the two things that I would like to mention, don't move here and fall in love with a Thai girl right away. Try hard not to do that, because I've watched hundreds of guys do this. Yeah. Take things slow. Another thing, don't buy a condo right away either. Chose to buy a condo. I know Tom did, but I waited many years before I made that plunge. Take things slow. Don't jump into anything that you're not going to be able to get out of. But more importantly, the woman. Please take that slow. But I know you won't listen. I know. No one does.
That's a fact. Lobster or crayfish?
Love crayfish. Good crawfish etouffee, Cajun food. I'd pay a lot of money to have a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jay, I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having
me. Coming here and sharing a portion of your life and your advice and that sort of thing.
All right. Bye-bye.